Salam, still, Zambians could not get a benefit out of it. And now we want to find out why management decided to buy something and paid in full without inspecting the equipment. Secondly, Chair, management also, after receiving the drone in there, opted to get to China, and a total amount of 1.7 billion was used as transport. Chair, we just want to find out from them whether it was indeed necessary at that point to spend such an amount, and how do you justify such an expenditure? Because there was no way, Chair, in a very reasonable state, a suffering state like Zambia, 1 billion would be spent purely on transport, and further, the amount was paid on something that would not be used by the Republic. Now the question that why did management took that route of spending such huge sums of money when they knew very well that, to now say they knew, because at the point of buying, there are quite a lot of things that would have sent a signal to management that what we are procuring or the contract we're getting into is not even. Today you get there, you are told, yes, this is the name of the company that will supply. Few days, the contract, things again changes. Now the supplier has changed his name. When you are still following the supplier with the new name given, no, the supplier has been liquidated. Now the question that why did management fail to sense a danger if indeed we meant well for the people of the Republic of Zambia, who is supposed to have been beneficiaries of this act which was performed? Further, you opt to travel at a cost of $1 billion. So 1.7 million, which was another issue that management were not sensitive of. So the question that why was all these acts performed without realizing the importance of the people who actually the owners of this money which we lavishly spent? Chair, I submit.
MD.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Honorable Mapani, for that question. The purchase of the drone is a very regrettable and very sad matter to look at. Why? Because it's a typical illustration of what happens when you ignore procurement law and you fail to follow procurement procedure. There is really no justification that even the guidance from the Attorney General was not followed. So indeed, I can only take responsibility that this was a very big lapse on the part of management, and many of the things that were done shouldn't have been done because the red flags were adequate to have avoided this matter. Thank you.
Honorable Kampyongo.
Chair, I've got two issues to raise, but before that I would like to just know what sanctions have been taken on the erring officers that were involved in this irregular procurement. Yeah, but I've got two issues to raise, Chair. One is on the revised plan following the conversion of the pipeline use from crude courier to finished products. You have shared with us that you had an expansion plan, which then required the capital injection of $450 million US dollars, which you are saying you are mobilizing. Can you share with this committee how you are mobilizing this capital injection, from where, what is the time frame, because eventually this will have an impact on the subsector in terms of the fuel product national requirement. So maybe share with us so that we can know exactly what you are doing in that area. Chair, the other issue is on the security of the pipeline. In your submission, you have shared with us that you have about 204 police officers recruited to patrol the pipeline. I don't know whether this is just on the Zambian side or this is on the Tanzanian side. So I want you to explain to us how this is working out. And then you have got the villagers. You are saying 500 villagers through community interventions who are also helping in supplementing the police officers in securing the pipeline. First of all, what's the cost? What component which will then make us appreciate the sustainability of these measures you have put in place? Because deploying this number of police officers and the villagers, we are talking of a stretch of 1,700 kilometers plus. And this number is just like a drop in terms of coverage. So share with us how sustainable this is and how the villagers are supplementing the effort. And then the cost implication of these measures. Then maybe you can speak to the long-term plans, because this sounds for me like interim measures that you have just deployed. Then you talked of the optic fiber infrastructure along the pipeline. Is this part of the expansion plan, or this is a separate arrangement? Maybe we would want to know. And if you can share with us, we saw a bust up of a pipeline in Tanzania. How much losses you incurred through that bust? Because there the tons of liters that we saw being spilled all over, and the impact on the environment that had, we would really appreciate. I submit, Chair.
MD. Mike.
Thank you very much, Honorables, and thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to respond to those questions. On the drone, in terms of sanctions taken, unfortunately, no sanctions were taken on any of the erring officers. Management is currently reviewing this case and to see whether the people prior to us could have done something more than they did. Secondly, there is on the expansion plan for the pipeline, I can report how we are mobilizing resources. TAZAMA currently is a profit-making entity, so we are able to retain part of that profit in terms of plowing it back. So the first thing that we did was to conduct a feasibility study to see how best this project was to be undertaken. And the recommendation from that feasibility study was that a new pipeline be constructed. Currently, there is a technical committee and discussions between the government of Zambia and Tanzania, where there are discussions on how the new pipeline can be implemented. That is the current progress on that. Coming to the issue of the pipeline security, you will notice that when we do the security risk assessment along the pipeline, our biggest threat actually is the same villagers who are living along the pipelines. So no matter how much technologically advanced we go in terms of pipeline security, as long as we don't incorporate the people living along the way live, we'll always have a lot of problems. So the inclusion of the villagers and the village groups in the patrolling is to promote community ownership. And how this works is that these villagers are given an incentive every month for them to take patrols on the pipeline, and they are able to log in that they are working, and if they've got any problems that they notice on the pipeline, they quickly alert the nearest station for TAZAMA so that intervention is taken. Also on the part of technology, the issue of the fiber optic is very much alive, because for us to incorporate these new technologies in pipeline security, we need internet along the pipeline. That in itself, if it was taken as a standalone project, would cost in the ranges of somewhere around between $20 to $30 million to cover the 1,710 kilometer stretch of the pipeline. So this has been incorporated as part of the feasibility study and discussions in the for the construction of the new pipeline. So indeed, the idea is that as TAZAMA continues making profit and the government of Zambia and Tanzania agree on the construction of the new pipeline, then we may be able to hive off some resources to still refurbish the remaining sections of the old pipeline, so that the two pipelines can continue running side by side as we proceed through the years. And relating to the issue of the pipe-based and the environmental impact, that is very regrettable. And in our pipeline operations, we endeavor to ensure that pipeline integrity is a top priority in our operations. So when such happens, the pipeline is configured in such a way that it immediately goes into shutdown, so that we limit the amount of fuel that is spilled. Apart from that, we do environmental cleanups, and also when the fuel of that nature is lost, you recognize that we also have insurance policies that cover TAZAMA on the part of the financial loss to do with that. Our ideal is that we can have a new pipeline that we are running, so that incidences of such nature are reduced. And when we modernize the operations, the system itself will be able to detect when there is a problem immediately and shut itself down through incorporated fail-safe mechanisms in the design. Thank you very much. I submit.
Yes, Honorable Kampiango.
Thank you so much. Just on that same spillage, Auditor General has flagged off losses through leakages that's amounting to something like 103 million plus kwacha. Now, you spoke to that bust up in terms of losses and figures. Could that be in addition to this 103 million? And if it is, how are you working to deal with those now routine leakages that are identified to curb these losses that are now showing alarming figures? Thank you, Chairperson.
MD.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable. So the routine maintenance of the pipeline is a day-to-day operation for TAZAMA pipeline. So we have several pipeline maintenance teams that we've put on the line that respond as soon as there is an indication that there is a leak, because we understand and appreciate the impact that this may have not only on the financials and the product loss side, but also on the environment on the greater part. So the pipeline is under continuous management, and we have a pipeline integrity program where we have teams that are continuously looking at how safe it is to operate this pipeline, because we cannot continue operating if the pipeline is continually giving leaks. In terms of the numbers, when you look at that figure that was quoted by the auditors, that figure is covering the audit period, and the recent videos that you're referring to, that incident happened somewhere around November last year. The cost may not be necessarily included in this, but we were able to recover from that, and the communities that were affected were all compensated, and we are yet to receive our compensation from the insurance company. Thank you.
Honorable Kasarundwe.
Hey, thank you, Chair. My question is on management of debt stock, failure to achieve the budgeted volumes. It is coming from page 27 of their submission, and then the response, Chair, is on page 28. I will just straight go to the action they have put in place, and their response is that this was as a result of The initial projections were based on theoretical recovery assumptions, and also they said the reconciliation of stock were done and report is available for audit verification. So I just want the PS and his team to share with the committees the original projections that couldn't be achieved. We want to see and know them, and we also want a copy of the stock reconciliation report share. Thank you.
MD?
Thank you very much, Chair. Maybe I would request the Director of Finance to just talk to the original projections in terms of money, and then I'll talk to the remaining matters. Thank you.
Director of Finance?
Thank you, Chair. In terms of revenues, the original projection for sales was 1.8 billion kwacha, but what was actually realized was 1.5 billion kwacha. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the theoretical, when it comes to refining process, you will recall that the pipeline had gone into shutdown for some time. So at the time of receiving this crude, there were tests that were done that determined what could be recovered from the crude. But this crude remained in the pipeline for some years before it was actually displaced and refined at Indeni. So theoretically, at that time, they were using the odd reports, what they had put in the pipeline. They could determine that maybe we can get this much. But when it actually came out, and looking at Indeni also not having been working, the refinery efficiency had gone down, and also the crude oil that was in the pipeline had degenerated, kind of. So you find that what was expected to be gotten that time was not actually what we got. So we got less. And that is what is accounting for that difference in the figures there. And the stock report, sir, is available. We will share with the audit team. Thank you.
Honorable Kampiano?
Thank you so much, Chair. Yeah, we appreciate your explanation on that debt stock. But maybe if you can shed more light as to where the proceeds, as low as it was, were channeled, because remember you mentioned the issue of the loan recovery and the sources of funds which could have gone to liquidate the loan. Yeah, so maybe if you can just speak to that, and we would have been comfortable for you to speak in terms of figures, that what you had projected, theoretically to recover was so much, and in reality what was recovered was this much, which was then channeled either to servicing the loan or wherever it was serviced, because it has been a challenge, I think, for many stakeholders. I thank you, Chairperson.
MD?
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me just request that the Director of Finance can speak to how this money was expended.
Thank you, Chair. The money that was collected from the sale proceeds was collected by TAZAMA and remitted to Ministry of Finance as part of the loan repayment. Thank you.
Right. MD, if you look at your petroleum reforms, where you talked of conversion of TAZAMA pipeline from crude oil to finished products, one, there's been a delay in the expansion of the pipeline. When you look at the business plan that which you originated, you also mentioned in your response that a substantial capital requirement of approximately $450 million is required for the project, and that these resources, you're mobilizing them internally. Yeah. How does management plan to mobilize these resources internally, amounting to $450 million US? And what time frame are you giving yourselves?
Thank you very much, Chair. So the issue that prompted us to call for a feasibility study was that we really wanted to understand whether this pipeline expansion in itself was going to be beneficial. So when we went through that feasibility study, we were looking at the expenditure of the 450 million versus doing a new pipeline. So the feasibility study recommended, and this money for the feasibility study was actually internally generated as well. So from the profitability, we are able to retain money, and also during our budgets like currently, we make provision for such. So the feasibility study actually recommended for the construction of a new pipeline, and the project cost in that study is ranging somewhere in the range of $2.3 to $2.6 billion. It is at this time that it was decided that this project be done jointly with the Tanzanian government, and it is what triggered the setting up of a joint technical committee between Zambia and Tanzania, and a steering committee where discussions are taking place towards the actualization of the construction of the new pipeline. This in itself is progressed very well, and looking at the timelines, if all goes well, it shouldn't be too long before we see the commencement of the new project within maybe the short run, not really for a long time, because most of the groundwork has actually been done. Thank you.
We had to ask about the time frame. 450 million sounded colossal, but we didn't know whether it's in your lifetime or it's in the lifetime of our great-grandchildren, because you wanted to generate these resources internally only. Yeah, right. With that explanation, I'll move you to the next point on procurement matters. On page... Yes, please, Honorable Kampiongo.
Maybe just to also make it very clear, with this policy shift in the fuel subsector, is it your position that going forward we should not, the two pipelines, both the new one and the old one, will only be for finished products, and that we won't see in one of these two lines back to pumping crude oil? I thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Mapani.
Thank you so very much, Chair. Chair, the issue of proceeds, which the financial controller answered that the money was used to pay off the loan. I just want to find out whether they have evidence. If so, did they give it to the auditors to ascertain that indeed the proceeds were spent to pay off the loan? Chair, submit.
PS, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I comment on Honorable Kampiongo's question. The current projections or the current understanding is that the current pipeline is on the finished product, so it's only bringing in diesel. The new one, it's felt that, or it's thought in the feasibility that it can be a multi-product pipeline, so it can bring in diesel, it can also bring in petrol. So right now the thinking and the design, and even on the ground right now, is for finished products. But in terms of going forward, if there is a change, it obviously will need government policy to make a decision on going forward. But yeah, I think I could comment as such.
Thank you, PS. I know, I hope I'm not stretching you. The minister was on the floor of Parliament just this week, assuring the nation that there is a new refinery coming on board, which we then expect to be refining crude. Yeah, so if on one hand you are saying both pipelines will be much more for finished products, with the other one dealing with diesel and petrol, how then how do we harmonize the position of the new refinery, which is coming on board, away from the Indian petroleum as we know it? Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I recognize the question, Honorable Kampiongo, when you asked that it was obviously referring to the new IDC partnership on the refinery, the new refinery. This is why I said for now, the configuration of the current pipeline and even the thought on the design on the new multi-product is still on the finished product. If a decision is made later on to feed that refinery, then a decision has to be made, because again you need conversion back to crude like we did before. So that would have to be a decision made later on. But for now, the old pipeline is configured for the finished product, just like the new one is being thought to be designed for. Now, in terms of the feed, obviously the promoters of the new refinery, I think, have ideas in terms of how they will be bringing in the crude in order to support that particular refinery, because I think they've done their own studies, feasibility studies and all that. Maybe I can end there, Chair. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much. I'll take you to procurement matters. On page 130 of the Auditor General's report, the Auditor General has picked out your failure to use market price index on procurement, and resulting in failure to obtain value for money through purchasing of expensive goods. Can your management, provide this committee with the waivers that you utilized or that you used to avoid the market price index?
Thank you very much, Chair. The market price index is provided for in the law, and also what was actually used was the price reasonableness analysis, which is also an option that is provided for. Nonetheless, the market price index is considered to be superior, and we have moved quickly because we found that TAZAMA was not on the EGP. We did apply, and the training has been conducted, and our desire is that if they can quickly make TAZAMA be on the EGP, then this issue of the market price index would have been resolved. But currently, and going backwards, TAZAMA was using price reasonableness analysis.
What time frame do you see attached to full implementation of the EGP?
We already did our part, Chair. We invited ZPPA to include TAZAMA on the EGP, so they conducted the first step, which was training last month, and we are hopeful that they can move with speed to onboard us. I'm a little bit crippled to talk on the timelines on their behalf. Thank you.
Further questions, colleagues? Honorable Kampiongo.
Chair, maybe just the question that Honorable Mapani posed before he left, where he was asking about the proof to show that the proceeds of the dead stock, which were sold were channeled to the loan repayment, and he was requesting whether that has been availed to the Auditor General. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable, yes, PS? Director of Finance.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the documents were availed to the audit team.
Right. If we look at staff-related matters, PS, there's inclusion in the employment contract of a clause that led to loss of funds through that clause that is not in the Employment Act. What corrective action is being taken? MD?
Thank you very much, Chair. We did invite the Emoluments Commission to come and help us resolve this matter. So they did work through, and they produced a report, and they've harmonized, they've rationalized the salaries where all these allowances that were causing problems have been included as part of the basic pay. So the effective date of implementation of that report, they directed that we implement this from 1st January 2026, and we are currently in the implementation phase. Thank you.
Right. Honorable Cassandra?
That's a follow-up, Chair. Since our committee is a committee of facts, we always ask for evidence. They are saying they engaged the Emoluments Commission, so we would like to see if there was any correspondence between the two institutions, and then also if there was a plan to recover the money that was paid, since that was against the Employment Act before the harmonization was made. Thank you, Chair.
MD?
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, and thank you, Chair. The correspondence between TAZAMA and the Emoluments Commission is available, and the final report from the Emoluments Commission is also available. We'll make it available to the auditors. On the issue of recovery of the money, the TAZAMA has not made any movement on that matter. If we are guided so, it is a matter that we can look at. Thank you.
Fair enough. Further questions, colleagues? Let's talk of statutory obligations. The Auditor General picked up an audit query where you failed to remit skills development levy and also unrecovered VAT refunds. This has led to penalties and loss of public funds. What measures has management put in place to ensure compliance of SDA while the matter is still under conversation? And how is TAZAMA, how much has TAZAMA so far recovered from refunds from ZRA and TRA from the outstanding amount of 22 million kwacha?
Director of Finance will help me, sir. Thank you.
Director of Finance?
Thank you, Chair. As regards to SDL, like MD had indicated, that SDL was supposed to be, TAZAMA was supposed to be exempted on the Tanzanian side, as is the case with Zambia. So that case was still being discussed because, like we stated, it's an element of departure from the TAZAMA Convention, which was being handled by the Intergovernmental Committee. However, because this committee has delayed to resolve this matter, TAZAMA has entered into time to pay agreement, and we are paying the arrears for the past years of 50 million T shillings per month. As regards to the pay as you earn, sorry, the VAT on the Tanzanian side. TAZAMA hasn't received any refunds because TRA has taken a different position. Previously, we never used to have challenges in getting those repayments, but now they've changed their position to say those tax refunds or VAT refunds may not be sustained as a refund because as far as they are concerned, there is no taxable supply on the Tanzanian side as the revenue is being recognized on the Zambian side. So it's a little bit tricky until maybe that same issue is also resolved together with the SDL. But on the SDL, we've started paying. But what we were challenging TRA was the fact that what will happen if the Intergovernmental Committee decide that we are not supposed to be taxed? Are they going to do a refund for which they declined that they are not going to refund us? So it's been challenging on the Tanzanian side because the shift of position has just happened recently. Because when we were in shutdown, at one time we received quite a lot of money from TRA in terms of VAT refunds, and that was the refunds that actually paid our salaries. So the shift of position by TRA, it's a matter that management is still engaging TRA with. We are supposed to travel to Tanzania to table the matter further, and if it won't be resolved at that level, then we intend to escalate it further. If not, it looks like it's a doubtful receivable because TRA has indicated that they cannot sustain it because it's not supported by a taxable supply. I submit, Chair.
Follow-up questions, Honorable Kampiongo.
Maybe just two last quick ones, Chair. There was a query on your failure to pave concrete on this Kigamboni tank farm. And the dilapidated barn was at the same farm. In your response, of course, you indicated to us that you have commenced rehabilitation works and that the works were scheduled to be completed in March. First of all, what measures are you putting in place to avoid the recurrence, the dilapidation which was allowed to go to that extent? And maybe you can share with us the current status of the works, March being just a few weeks down the line. And maybe the other one is on the lack of internally generated documents of received and dispatched white products, where you have given us an update in your submission, and of course you cited reasons such as the COVID-19 having been one of the reasons why you could not make progress, shutdowns and lack of funds. Maybe a question is, would you share with the committee why management has opted to rely on externally generated documents and not the locally generated documentation? And maybe if you can also just share with us the timelines in which you expect to ensure the distribution of the, the, the documents and how much you have done in terms of personnel training in that regard. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, MD. Mike.
Thank you very much, Chair. The Honorable Kampyongo, thank you very much. So the concrete works, we have progressed very well and we are on schedule. Yeah, the tank that was in query, tank T5, has been completed and we actually started using it a few days ago. And this work will be continuous. Of course, what led to this was that the company was in shutdown and there was no revenue to carry out these works. Currently, TAZAMA is a profit-making entity, and the revenue projections are looking quite good. And we continue applying back into this equipment so that if it remains in a good operational condition, then we'll be able to not only meet the regulatory requirements, but also be able to avoid all these issues, associated issues like spillages or product loss. The plan is that we take out, as in we rehabilitate a tank every year. So what happens is that we take out a tank to be rehabilitated every year, and that cycle continues. So we've just finished rehabilitating a T5, a tank T5. We'll be moving to another tank, and we open this tank, we strip it down and refurbish it and pave and concrete around and renew it. With that maintenance program in place, we are of the considered view that within the next 3-4 years, all these issues that we are talking about will be things of the past. And talking about the externally generated documents, the petroleum sector has got certain standard documents that are acceptable as industry practice. For instance, if I were to tell someone how much product is in my tank, they will not accept my document. They are what they call surveyors, who are independent, who should come to my tank and generate a document, and that is what everyone in the industry will accept. Nonetheless, that is not an excuse for TAZAMA, because we need to have a method of internalizing the external document. We cannot account for the external document. So our target is that by the end of the first quarter, we will have our own internal accountable document on stock management and the product movement. And the manuals have been updated. The workers are currently being trained and being made aware of the changes in the operation procedures and their requirements. And we are hopeful that by the end of the first quarter, we would have gone full system and this problem would have been covered. Thank you.
Honorable Kampyongo.
My final and last one is just to find out from the MD as to how independent is TAZAMA in terms of decision making. You have this open access to the pipeline now. Now, looking at the amount of oil marketing companies that are owing you, and have talked about how you should be assessing the viability of all these OMCC. How independent are you in choosing who uses the pipeline, for moving finished products? You're under Cap 12 and you're with the PS there, so that we can know who to hold accountable. Should we see the shortages of, petroleum products on the filling stations, on the pump stations? Thank you, Chairperson.
Do you want me to reaffirm your immunity? It is reaffirmed. Please proceed as such. Honorable Kampyongo, your mic.
Thank you very much. I can say that there has never been a time when there has been so much order on the usage of the pipeline than where we are now. Because previously you had permits that were being issued and people did not understand how these permits were being issued and to who. Currently now, this process is so formalized. Under the open access guidelines, there is the establishment of 2 committees there, the evaluation committee and the selection committee. And these committees are chosen from independent professional bodies. So you have Zika, Economics Association and all that to constitute that committee, and they have a chairman there. So these are appended to TAZAMA. So even myself do not have control over that committee. So the way the open access tendering system works is that a tender, firstly, there is a pre-qualification process where oil marketing companies are invited to pre-qualify to participate in the open access for a given period. In this pre-qualification process, they demonstrate, they give their financial statements and all those things that go with procurement. And this is done by the evaluation committee, which sits once. And once they pre-qualify the oil marketing companies, then they dissolve. So currently, the pre-qualified oil marketing companies are currently 32. And these are the ones that are invited every month to provide financial proposals. The mode of competition currently is that the one who offers the lowest price, we call it a premium, is the one who is given the opportunity to use the pipeline, because that premium goes into the build-up of the price at the pump. So if you have a low premium, it will translate into a lower pump. And this process, the way it happens, honorable members, is that it's so transparent. When the people log in, put in their financial proposals, everyone sits in a room like this, and there's a screen there, and these are electronically opened. So when the bids are being opened, everyone is sitting in the open, and the evaluation is done in the same room with the bidders and the evaluation committee, and the announcement is done there and then. So there is no one who can come and say they were manipulated, because the figures would have been made available in public, and the decision is made in real time. So once the bidder is announced, like they do all the time, the selection committee is the one that gives the award letter to the bidder and instructs them to get in touch with TAZAMA now to complete other contract formalities to do with the throughput agreement, and then also with the storage agreement. So currently, I can say there is a lot of independence on the usage of the pipeline, because the competition is done in the open. Thank you.
Maybe.
Yes,
Allow
please,
me
you
to
want to
comment.
add?
Yes, since Honorable Kampyongo was looking at me when I was talking about influence, I should just mention that I don't participate in selecting those as explained by the MD. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. You have said PS is just doing himself in the firing range. When instructions are given to a PS to go and reduce fuel, what do you do? Thank you, Chair. Yeah. Your final remarks.
Thank you, Chair. Really, it's just to thank the committee for allowing us this time to present our part in terms of the report. We do appreciate all the guidance that has been given for us to be able to go and work and improve the situation at TAZAMA. We also appreciate the candid and straight talk from your committee chair, so that we can work on the things that are needed, because we're working for the public, and it is important that we do the right thing. Thank you, sir.
PS and your team from TAZAMA, we want you to know that TAZAMA holds immense significance in Zambia's economic stability, energy security, and overall industrial development. So it is our hope, it is our desire that you will treasure that critical asset. You hold it in trust for the Zambian people, would like to urge good governance, and would like to urge accountability, value addition to that asset, and let's ensure that you continue fueling Zambia's economic growth. As far as Zambians are concerned, they have invested in a critical pipeline from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania to Ndola, Zambia, and that is a lifeline for their economic development. We would like to see you improve on management of receivables. Would like to see you have an effective debt policy, recovery policy, and make sure that you avoid short-term borrowing, or you don't go back to short-term borrowing as the audit brings out. Excessive expenses on short-term instruments could be avoided by effective management of your receivables. And let's ensure that we continue being prudent in managing the OMCs, and let's ensure that there's no credit extended to those that have not yet paid. We want to thank you most sincerely for making an appearance before us today, and would like now to withdraw the immunity that we conferred upon you. Go ye and sin no more.
Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. And the Committee on Parastatal Bodies has just concluded its business today, and they were considering the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the parastatal bodies and other statutory institutions for the financial year ended 31st December 2024. And the witness that we had today was the Minister of Energy, and that ministry was represented by the Permanent Secretary, and also had TAZAMA Pipeline Limited. The Managing Director and his entourage were also in that committee. That concludes today's business. Remember, at 14:30, we'll have the live parliamentary proceedings. Remember, the chamber sitting resumes at 14:30. On behalf of Jason Manda and Chola Kauman, the entire production crew, my name is Paul Sentindovi. Thank you so much for your time. Let's be together at 14:30 as we cross over to the chamber for today's live parliamentary proceedings.
Experience more love at home this February with Topstar. For just 210 kwacha on Antenna Classic or D-Smart, your home becomes a front row seat for the world's biggest moments. For the sports lovers, the rivalry that stops the world continues. Keep up with Real Madrid and Barcelona as the La Liga title race heats up, and more football drama in the Bundesliga, Saudi Pro League, Carabao Cup, plus more. Also catch the Milan